This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(6:15). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Julmin Samrasinghe, read by Soundithavam. The construction of the Ruanpura Expressway will commence tomorrow. The Speaker gets a determination of the Supreme Court on the Colombo Port Economic Commission draft bill. The health authorities say that the irresponsible behaviour of the public delays admitting of COVID patients to hospitals. The Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation begins broadcasting the Ratana Sutra to India for 1 week from today. In foreign news, the US backs waiver on vaccine patents to boost supply. In sports gymnastics, Milka Gehani de Silva becomes the second Sri Lankan to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics. The construction of the Ruanpura Expressway will commence tomorrow morning under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The first phase of the construction will take place from Kahatudua to Ingiriya. The Ruanpura Expressway begins from the Kahatudua interchange of the Southern Expressway. It will be constructed up to Palmadulla through Ingiriya and Ratnapura. Expressing his views, Minister Johnston Fernandes said that the government's hope is to implement development programs on behalf of the people, even amid the pandemic. The determination of the Supreme Court about the petitions against the draft bill of the Colombo Port Economic Commission has been received by Speaker Mahindayapa Abeyewardena today. The Speaker's Media Division said that it will be tabled in Parliament on the 18th of this month. The Committee on Parliamentary Affairs, which will meet in due course, is expected to take a decision on taking it up for debate in Parliament. The Chief Coordinator of the COVID-19 of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Anwar Hamdani, said that the main reason for the delay in admitting COVID patients to hospitals is the irresponsibility of the public. He said that 80% of the infected persons switch off their mobile phones as soon as they come to know they have been infected. He pointed out that delay in hospitalizations contribute to the spread of the virus. He requested the people to act with responsibility under the prevailing situation in the country. Arrangements have been made to broadcast the Ratana Sutra live in India and Sri Lanka for 1 week from today near the boat tree at the premises of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, Colombo 7. The Mahasangha will chant the Ratana Sutra, blessing the people in India, wishing that they will be able to overcome their present situation by listening to the spirit chanting, offering the wishes of the President of Sri Lanka, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, Minister of Mass Media Kehelia Rambukwella, the government, Chairman, SLBC staff, including the Director General who is in charge of the operation process, and the people of Sri Lanka. This Ratana Sutra chanting will be broadcast over entire India on shortwave 873 kHz from the SLBC's Puttalam transmission station and over Sinhala, Tamil, English and regional services. It will be broadcast today from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Sri Lanka time over all local and foreign channels. From the 7th of May to the 13th of May, it will be broadcast live. There will be a repeat broadcast of the same from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Sri Lanka's COVID Emergency Response and Pre-Preparing Health Systems project of the Ministry of Health has commenced 20 special hospital units and institutions to treat COVID patients. The director of the project, Dr. Jasundra Bandara, said the number will be increased to 52 with the World Bank assistance. The Commissioner of the Eastern Province Department of Indigenous Medicine, Dr. Raja Rajeswari Sridhara, said that steps are being taken to convert the Ayurveda hospitals operating in the Eastern Province to COVID-19 virus treatment centres. She said 7 hospitals would be converted into COVID-19 virus treatment centres on the advice of the Eastern Province Governor, Anuradha Yahampath. Dr. Raja Rajeswari Sridhara also said Verankaragoda, Nindavur and Attalachene Ayurveda hospitals in Ampara will function as COVID treatment centres. The Minister of Environment, Mahinda Abeyewardena, said that strict legal action will be taken against the multinational company which ignored the government's decision to ban several categories of polythene and plastic. He pointed out that it is a serious offence to violate the regulations in the Gazette issued on the 31st of March. The Minister said that he would sign a few more regulations within the next 2 days as he is empowered to impose regulations as a Cabinet Minister. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
The British High Commission in Colombo and the government held a virtual event, Nitrogen for Climate and Green Recovery, in Colombo recently. The event launched the Nitrogen for Net Zero initiative to widen engagement on sustainable nitrogen management in this crucial year for climate action. Nitrogen for Net Zero is an initiative launched in partnership between the British High Commission Colombo and the Government of Sri Lanka, championed by the President of Sri Lanka. The two key messages are that net zero will be impossible to achieve without action on nitrogen, and that action on nitrogen will offer multiple core benefits for health, nature and economy. Delivering a statement to the event on behalf of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardene emphasised that it is important to address the issue of nitrogen waste in a similarly urgent way and to broaden the ongoing discourse on climate change accordingly. Speaking at last year's COP26, President-designate Alok Sharma underlined the importance of joint action on climate change this year. The Committee on Public Finance has found that the target given to the Inland Revenue Department for the first 3 months has been met by 98%. With new tax amendments, the Finance Ministry gave a target of 575.5 million rupees to the department. The committee commended the Inland Revenue Department for taking steps to meet the target, even under the present situation. The Secretary to the Minister of Education, Professor Kapila Pereira, says that the era to keep students away from education for 9 months after examinations will be ended. The Cabinet has given its approval to change the time duration of the GCE O-level and A-level examinations. The GCE O-level examination will be held in August and A-level examination will be conducted in December. Professor Pereira said the new method will be implemented from next year. That's local news.
Finished? You have 1 more hour to write the exam.
Yes, sir. Always early.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
810 coronavirus patients were discharged from medical care within the last 24 hours as they've recovered from the virus. The country has recorded 100,885 recoveries to date. The total number of novel coronavirus infections registered in Sri Lanka since the outbreak of the pandemic is at 117,529. The daily report showed that 15,910 patients are under medical care at hospitals and treatment centres. 734 have succumbed to the COVID-19 infection, and that came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Army Commander, General Shavendra Silva, said a new hotline 1906 has been introduced to inform of delays of taking COVID-19 patients to hospitals. He said a family member or COVID-affected person can call 1906 to get assistance in case they can't reach their respective MOH or public health inspector, and that came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to world news in the headlines, the US backs waiver on vaccine patents to boost supply. China indefinitely suspends key economic dialogue with Australia, and SpaceX Starship prototype makes clean landing. The US has thrown its support behind a move at the World Trade Organization to temporarily lift patent protection for coronavirus vaccines. India and South Africa proposed a plan which they said would increase vaccine production around the world. But drugs manufacturers argue it may not have the desired effect. 100 of the WTO's 164 states are said to be in favour, and a panel on intellectual property is expected to discuss the issue next month. China has indefinitely suspended key economic dialogue with Australia, the latest in a growing diplomatic rift between both countries. Relations have been on the decline since Australia called for a probe into the origins of the virus and banned Huawei from building its 5G network. Last year, China imposed sanctions on Australian goods like wine and beef. In a statement today, a Chinese government commission accused Australia of having a Cold War mindset. Step by step, the SpaceX company is progressing the development of its novel Starship rocket. The latest prototype, SN15, has just completed a successful high-altitude ascent and landing. The 4 previous tests ran into trouble as they went through their touchdown maneuvers, ultimately destroying themselves in the process. But SN15 had no such difficulty, making a tidy, controlled return to the ground at SpaceX's R&D facility in Texas. Back to the headlines of this bulletin of world news. The US backs waiver on vaccine patents to boost supply. China indefinitely suspends key economic dialogue with Australia. And SpaceX Starship prototype makes clean landing. That concludes world news, and on to development news. A memorandum of understanding for the first ever bamboo and kumbuk planting project covering the Mahabali River Basin, the longest river in the country, has been signed today. The Ministry of Environment has taken steps to name each river a river conservation zone for the protection of Sri Lanka's 103 rivers. Plans are underway to plant bamboo and kumbuk saplings in the river basins, and came to you in development news.
Sports News is brought to you by...
When Aya bought a motorbike, he bought 2 helmets. So sweet of him. I'm sure the other one is for me.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
And it's gymnastics first. The 18-year-old artistic gymnast Milka Gehani de Silva has become the second Sri Lankan to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics. Short jumping rider Mathilda Carlsen was the first Sri Lankan to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics 2020, representing the equestrian event. On to cricket news. The Sri Lanka Cricket Selection Committee has paid attention on giving opportunity to several young players during the Bangladesh tour. A committee member told the SLBC that the opportunity will be given targeting the World Cup 2023. He said attention will be on Binura Fernando, Shiran Fernando, Dhananjaya Lakshan, Janit Lianage and Kamil Mishrara. Sri Lanka is expected to commence the Bangladesh tour on the 16th of this month. 3 one-day internationals are scheduled to be played between the two countries, and that came to you in sports news. Business news up next.
My wife always sets a full lunch table, even if it's just the 2 of us. She always expects people to drop by, like maybe the army.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
LB Finance has succeeded in raising $15 million on a 4-year tenure from MFO, the Dutch Entrepreneurial Development Bank. TSW Capital Services, a financial advisory firm based in India, arranged the deal. The loan marks a number of historical milestones for LB Finance. Not only does it coincide with the company's 50th anniversary, it also signals a new chapter in the company's commitment to the nation. The loan will be used to create a dedicated funding line for the SME segment. That's business news. We look at economic news next.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The total market turnover of the Colombo Stock Exchange has demonstrated a positive growth of 29.43% in the month of April compared to the previous month. Market turnover was recorded at 53 billion rupees, while domestic turnover has seen a growth of 64%, indicating the sustained interest among Sri Lankan investors. The month also saw the growth in the benchmark all-share price index closing at 7,208.2 and the S&P SL20 index closing at 2,869.25. That's economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department says that showers or thundershowers will occur over most parts of the island during the evening or night. Showers can occur over the eastern province and in the Mullaitivu and Hambantota districts. Heavy rainfalls above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the Sabragamuwa, central, western, Uva, northwestern and southern provinces.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The construction of the Ruanpura Expressway will commence tomorrow. The Speaker gets the determination of the Supreme Court on the Colombo Port Economic Commission draft bill. The health authorities say that the irresponsible behaviour of the public delays admitting of COVID patients to hospitals. The Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation begins broadcasting the Ratana Sutra to India for 1 week from today. The US backs waiver on vaccine patents to boost supply. And Milka Gehani de Silva becomes the second Sri Lankan to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics. That concludes this evening's news broadcast.